So what are my lessons? What is it that I'm learning here? Because I get it. I get it. This life is about lessons, the elevation. And without that struggle, without that pressure, the diamonds. Hey, it's Andy Jalla. Today, I'd like to share something quite personal with you, quite intimate, because I want to practice vulnerability. Whew. It's really difficult for me. I'm the health coach. I'm the person who normally supports other people, but today I want to challenge myself in sharing my biggest regret. Before I tell the story, I'm going to take you back 9 years, because 9 years ago, I was at the House of Parliament where I was being awarded an international award for my work in sustainable fashion. I had set up the first sustainable menswear brand in the UK, and I was being awarded for that. But it wasn't my first award. Before that, I'd been awarded for setting up an influential restaurant chain in London. And even before that, at the age of 17, I was awarded in another competition a runner-up prize of, it was a fashion award. And I wasn't given the first prize because at the time it was thought that I was so young, they didn't want to disturb my education because the prize was to go and work in industry. And so that's a little bit of backstory and to give you a little bit of an indication of my track record. But I messed up in 2016 when, following a retreat, a Buddhist retreat, a 5-day Buddhist retreat, where I was so excited to come back to my partner and share all the things that I had learned and wanted to practice within our life and our home, I had a grenade thrown into my face when I was told very suddenly that he no longer wanted to be with me. And this was, number one, after being proposed to just a few weeks prior. Number two, setting up an award-winning fashion brand in London. And number three, supporting him for 3 years through a devastating health crisis. So yeah, that grenade blew up in my face. However, I soldiered on because I'm a strong black woman, right? And this is what we do. I soldiered on. I continued to work with my partner after we had broken up. So I continued to see him 6 days a week for another year, where, to be fair, he was extremely supportive. He kept any of his business out of my face. He was really supportive in helping me to move out and find another place to live. And he was supportive in the transition. Even when he started dating again, he kind of tried to keep it out of my face. Following that, I experienced another huge tragedy. Well, this was actually the tragedy that really unsettled me, was the untimely death of my daughter's boyfriend, who took his own life at the age of 22. It was on my watch, as I used to stay. I don't say that anymore, but Michael used to spend quite a lot of time in my home and shared things with me. And even the week before he passed, he came over and expressed that he was so worried about my daughter. And all along, he was the one that we needed to be worried about. But so these two experiences, literally back to back in my life, totally took the rug from under my feet. And here is what happened. Here's what I lost. I lost my business because my award-winning business, I should say, my business that attracted people from all over the world, both online and during visits in London. My business that I built from the ground up. I just didn't have the will to go through it anymore, kind of being with a partner who, in my face every day, who was becoming more and more inept at being a partner. And the other thing I did was I sold my property. I felt that I wanted to get away. I even went to live in Portugal for a while. I had a passion and a desire to live in the sunshine. I was kind of running the business for a while before I gave it up online, and I wanted a bit more of that. And I had sunk money into the business, but the only other asset I had was my apartment. And I wanted to be debt-free. I remember that feeling. I've been a lone mum, and literally, you know, the old saying, robbing Peter to pay Paul, not that I'm a thief. But yeah, I was stretching those pounds. I was stretching those pounds back then. I didn't go to the hairdresser. I didn't go to salons. I didn't pamper myself. None of that was happening. It was all DIY at home. Not that I minded, but the most important thing for me was to send my daughter to school. So she was privately educated, and to own our own home. But you know, after that, after struggling for over 12 years, I just wanted to be rid of it. And so I made the decision to sell my property. And those two decisions are, in spite of understanding that I am failing forward, are two of the, I'm going to be honest, those have been heavy on my heart, especially, not all the time. It's not that I've been living with this and dragging this around with me, but it's just at those times when things become difficult that you wonder, you trace back, you start to backpedal and wonder, what if I hadn't done that? What if I hadn't sold my property? What if I hadn't given up my successful business and walked away? What if I had been a little more resilient? And what if I had got the counseling that I obviously needed? What if I had been more vulnerable then and trusted people to support me? Would I be here now trying to transition into a new life here in Jamaica, which I've been doing for 3.5, nearly 4 years? Would that transition have been easier? Yes. Yes, it would have. Because after I sold my property, I had a dream or a desire. My daughter is a singer. And I just had this vision of us traveling the world, uploading videos onto YouTube and having Imani sing us around the world. 10 years later, that is a thing. But it was an idea that I had 9 years ago. And anyway, the cash went through my fingers over a number of years. Don't get me wrong, I had a great time. I had fun. I've traveled and done what I wanted to do in my life. But right now, after running retreats for the last 4 years, I so want to start 2025 strong. And I have a series of retreats that I want to facilitate. I am a transformational coach. I am a person that helps people to transform their lives. It is a gift that I have. And I can't do it right now in the way that I want to do it. So yeah, my mind is playing tricks on me. What if? So what are my lessons? What is it that I'm learning here? Because I get it. I get it. This life is about lessons, the elevation. And without that struggle, you know, without that pressure, the diamonds are not going to shine. You know, the light is not going to come. And that is my name, Jala, light. So what is the lesson? Number 1, I'm not going to say resilience, because I am a strong Black woman. And at that moment, back then, I wanted to be vulnerable. I didn't want to be strong. I didn't want to be strong. But it is who I am. So that resilience isn't a lesson. The lesson was about sharing and getting support at the right time when you needed it. Because I needed support back then and I couldn't ask for it. I refused to let others see me as vulnerable. It was as though if there was that chink in the armor, everything was going to fall apart. If there was that brick that was missing at the bottom of the wall was going to fall down. But I am taking that leap of faith right now and showing that vulnerability. Ask for help is the lesson. Also, don't make big decisions when you're being emotional. Do not make big decisions when you are hurting. Do not make big decisions when you have not healed. And the other lesson is about forgiveness. I have been practicing forgiveness of myself. I've been releasing, and releasing some more. I speak it out. I speak to myself. My higher self speaks to me. It counsels me. It's okay. It's okay. You did the best you could do at the time, and you can do better now, and know better, and you can do better. So, forgiveness. And now part 2 of this video, because I am here in Jamaica. I did make a huge decision to transition here during COVID, to be closer to my elderly parents. And that was a decision that was made before I became a grandmother. Am I regretting now leaving London when I so desperately want to be with my daughter and my new shiny, bright granddaughter, Lala? Am I regretting that also? No, I'm not. Because I had always envisioned my life as being between London and the Caribbean and Ghana. And it is coming into manifestation as I live and breathe every day. So there is London and Ghana, which I visited in 2016 and hope to be back there again for Easter, is blossoming as part of my future. So there is part 2 of this video, because I am in Jamaica. I am loving my life in Jamaica. I am living in the sunshine. Let's let that pass. I live on country lanes where they love to ride on their motorbikes. I am living in Jamaica. I am loving my life. I am loving the sunshine. I am loving the countryside. I am loving fruits and vegetables that I can grow. I love going out into my garden, picking a pear, picking a pawpaw, picking a mango, mashing it all up, cutting it all up, putting it on my muesli, dashing my seeds on it, dashing my nut milk on it, and having my breakfast. I love that. I love going out every day, cutting my vegetables and cutting my herbs and building my salads. I love picking the peas and making stews and curries. I'm living my dream that I had seen so long ago. Just there's been a little bit of a hiccup, and that's regarding the finances. And I am working on that, because that's what I do. I work for what I need and what I want. So yes, this video was all about vulnerability and doing that thing. So I'd love some feedback. I'd love to hear what your experiences have been around perhaps making yourself more vulnerable than you wanted to, and looking in the rear view mirror sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, and wondering, what if? What are the lessons you've learned? I would love to hear that, because we all learn if we share. We all learn if we share. And again, my lessons were around sharing, being vulnerable, asking for help at the right time. That's the only way we all grow together. So thank you. Thank you for being with me here today. Thank you for what was a big deal for me. As always, I have so much gratitude for the gifts I have, for what I have been gifted and what is shared with me also. So I give thanks, as always. One love.